Do value our PTA in so many different ways. As a young principal, I valued the PTA partnership that was developed to create an environment where I could work together with them in a collaborative nature. The PTA parents are a very strong force that really can set the tone in developing ideas beyond just words, but into action. So the PTA is a force that when combined with the teaching force, the staff force, the student force, and the administration can really create a tidal wave of excellence for the school. So for me, partnering with the PTA takes a couple different forms. One is communication. The PTA communicate with me on a regular basis the feelings of the community in regard to the progress that the school is making. Secondly, thematic events. The PTA supports our thematic events, whether it's Red Ribbon Week, whether it's holiday festivities, whether it's academic pursuits. They partner with us and help us create plans of success for our students that promote student growth. So that's another area that I am strongly appreciative of the PTA efforts, because on our own, we reach a certain limit. With the PTA support, we elevate that to a whole new standard. The benefits that the PTA brings to our community at large vary by grade level. So at Zay North, we have different segments of our school population, which I could break down for you. We do have a preschool handicap program. We do have children with special needs, approximately 22% of our school population. The PTA is a strong voice and an advocate for inclusion and support the inclusion process, which I'm very happy to have their support with. That helps our families to be engaged in the wider school community. At the primary level, working with the new parents coming in, PTA partners with new families, veteran families, buddy up with younger families and uh, give them a viewpoint of our school, because they're experienced in the school setting, and many of them stay in our school. They're not a transient population, so they're here typically from kindergarten through grade 5. So those families partner with the upper grade elementary families, with the primary families, partner with them, and I would say almost mentor them so that they're ready for positions in the PTA. I found that to be a really strong force of creating stability in our school with communication and with programs and support student growth, because the families support each other and mentor them in a way where they understand the school culture, they understand the school climate. So that benefits the inclusive population and the process. It also benefits the incoming families. And then the PTA in the upper elementary grades support our mission, which is to develop student leaders for the 21st century. So our goal is with the PTA to develop leadership opportunities, and we extend that beyond the schoolhouse. And so we give our PTA opportunities in the community to develop leadership responsibilities as well. So in the schoolhouse, our voice is heard at many different levels, and then we want that to be extended in the community as well. I'm excited that when we do programs at Zay North, that we hear the student voice, the staff voice, of course, the administrative mandates, but at the same time that we include our parents. And when we do, the parent voice component is a strong reinforcer of what the district mission and vision is. Zay North, one of the specific values that the PTA has given us is the ability to work together with them, not in contention or confusion, but in peace. So peacemaking has been a theme of ours, along with the ability to choose joy. The reason being, the pandemic has shifted the process to a new area that has created some disturbance in the air. So what we needed to do was to focus on our mission, and the goal that we had is to be partners in the educational process to enhance student growth and student success. So to do that, we needed to dispel confusion, chaos, and bring a different viewpoint, which for us is the ability to be peacemakers and to share ideas, to share concerns, to have an ongoing exchange of communication between families and staff, families and the administration in a peaceful manner, so that the thought process or the ideas behind the communication exchange was understood. We have treasured is the ability to maintain peace and harmony in our school setting, to enhance that in the culture and the climate of the school. And because we dispelled the contentious spirit that is out there with all the confusion in society today, the school setting has become an area where we can maintain our focus and celebrate the joys of learning. And we have found with peace comes joy. When the students can come to elementary school and celebrate joy, they're happy. And the research says when children are happy, they can explore, they can be creative, they can inquire, and that promotes achievement and minimal discipline problems. So for us, the PTA has helped us by being peaceful, yet clear and communicative with us, and at the same time honest and sharing their thoughts with integrity and understanding that although our viewpoints may differ during the pandemic, we're all working towards the same goal, which is the success for our students and to create an environment where they're happy and joyful. Piece of advice that I would offer PTA leaders into supporting a building principal and a successful program for the PTA and the school setting would be to communicate clearly on a regular basis. The communication is key. It unlocks the door for student success. It also unlocks the door for the PTA success in regard to the staff's perception of what the PTA's partnership is all about. Keep in mind, the staff and the administration want to support the PTA, but they can only support the PTA if they understand the PTA's mission and vision. So ongoing discussion with the staff and with the administration is key. Once the meeting are planned and scheduled according to the time frame where involvement can be maximized, then discussions could take place. They could take place at ongoing at any time, but the leader of the PTA and or the executive board should be very clear and intentional with the building principal on the goals that are going to be set forth for the school year. That planning is strategic planning, we call that. So the building principal, along with the PTA and the executive team, should have a meeting of the minds, should have a clear understanding of what the goals are and what direction they want the discussion to take place with the public. That is very, very important because oftentimes the goals are not met because the discussion, the plan, and the vision are compromised. So from my perspective, advice to the PTA leaders would establish a very strong relationship with the PTA executive board. So the PTA executive board, all the members of the executive board, not one voice speaking above the others, but a joint voice from the executive board and the building principal can establish through clear-cut communication that is ongoing, intentional, and strategic the goals that want to be reached. Then voices can be heard to discuss the ways, the platforms, the means to reach those goals, and then they can be formalized. But beyond the formalization process, to get to a successful program, communication is the key. So I would give a principal that has some concerns about the PTA association is to really take a minute for them as principals to reflect upon the mission and the vision of the PTA. They have to separate personalities from performance or personalities from their personal opinion, because at times in life in a school setting, there are going to be personalities, I'm sure, that are on the PTA that may not be aligned or akin to the principal personality or vision or perspective, but we're professionals. And my opinion and experience has been, even with staff, because we deal with this on an ongoing basis when you work with the public and you're in the workplace, that there are going to be those individuals that may not agree wholeheartedly with your viewpoint as a building principal, but the bottom line is we're here for the children and we're providing a public service. So we as professionals need to put aside some of our personal viewpoints, and or at least have a discussion about our personal viewpoints. But the bottom line is our discussion is professional, and we should be using data. We should be using research-based practices, best practices. We should be using resources that can enhance our professional discussion, because in the end, it's those resources and those data results that will guide us. As they say, assessment drives instruction. The same thing happens with the PTA Association. Best practices, performance, research, other PTAs that are doing things that are excelling schools and their programs and advancing them to fulfill their mission and their vision. That resource that the association can provide to other PTAs and to other principals should be foundational in the discussion process. Oftentimes, PTAs or building principals will come together and begin to discuss traditional approaches or personal perspectives. And that's a shift away from what we know as best practices or research relevant data. So I would again suggest have those personal discussions, but the bottom line is when it comes to making the decision-making process, what resources, what applications, what types of technology are you using to reach the goals that you've agreed upon together with data, best research, and data, research, and best practices?